Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to cover a couple items I found on the iDrive screen and some issues I found with it as well, plus a little update on the trunk light. There's another interesting secret. If you need for some reason to turn off the center console display, you can do it by pushing the options button, and you'll see it says turn off display, and click on that and the display will go blank. Now to reactivate it, you just need to push on that control knob again and it will come back. So if you're in a place where you don't want people to see your screen, or you're sitting in the dark, you can enable and disable that screen. So I had a viewer ask me a question about the eDrive screen and what it means, so that would cover that real quickly. Starting with the consumption history display, which turned out to be very interesting. If you do a lot of stopping and starting, you're going to have larger numbers both on the EPower and the charging as you go through acceleration and then deceleration. If you're driving pretty much steady state, you're going to get the minimum about EPower and minimum amount of the Regen at the same time. So the bars on the menu are basically looking at this screen and looking at the swings from positive to negative of the charge or EPower and getting the average for that. So I went up a very steep hill and down as well to look at the EPower and charge values on this screen, and you can see that the miles per kilowatt hour in the EPower screen went down, which is what you'd expect going up a hill because you're consuming more power going up a hill. But the Regen screen doesn't make a lot of sense since it's showing really high miles per kilowatt hour when really we're not doing any regen. So that might be some of the confusion. Going downhill, it's the same thing. The EPower setting is showing very high numbers because we're not consuming any power going downhill. But now the Regen setting is not showing anything, which is actually should be showing the opposite, where it's going really high. So this screen is pretty confusing. So now with the unit switched to kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, the units seem to make sense. If you're doing regen braking, the bar grows for regen braking, and if you're accelerating, the bar is growing for more kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers. So we can see that just driving straight down the road, constant speed, I didn't have any regen, and that's what it's showing, and I was using about the nominal amount for power. I just came to a stop, and now it's registering the regen stopping and very low power use during that last minute cycle. It's updating every minute on the ground. You can see that driving uphill, that now with the different units, that the scale looks correct, where we're getting very little regen, and of course the EPower consumption is much higher, so we're going up about 1,000 feet. And the same is true for going downhill. Now we're seeing basically no EPower use, and we're seeing power being generated kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, spiking in the charge region, which is what you would expect if it's working correctly. So we're going to move on to the next EPower selection menu item, which is energy flow. And it's just a graphical display of the car, and it shows whether the power is going from the battery to the motor through the wheels, or whether it's flowing the opposite direction from the wheels to the motor back to the battery. And if the range extender is activated, it'll show up in an orange-red color, and you can see here where it's continually charging the battery even during acceleration or deceleration of the car. The comfort information screen shows the potential for mileage loss with, in this case, seat heating being activated against the total mileage, or if I activate the heating system, you see it takes about 3 miles off the total range. So you can look at the impact of your settings based on that. The next menu item selection is driving style analysis, and it shows a graph with a roadbed that goes off to the distance with the most recent data in the foreground. And the smoother you drive, the less abrupt you drive, the more stars you'll get, and the smoother that roadbed will look. And most of the acceleration tends to be on the right side, and deceleration or anticipation on the left side. The final screen is Eco Pro Tips, which when you're in Eco Pro mode, it'll give you hints as to how to drive more economically. And in this case, I rapidly hit the brakes, and it caused a ripple in the driving analysis screen, and this Coast in Advance screen will pop up on the screen to show you that your driving is not that economical. And if you do the same with acceleration, you'll get a pattern where the road is bending up to the left with a high point on the right, and it's also showing that this screen will come up that you need to moderate your acceleration. So it gives you tips on how to drive. And we'll wrap up this episode with a update on the trunk lid mounted light, and the adhesive backed Velcro that I used earlier kept coming off, and the magnets wouldn't hold it in place all the time as well. So I ended up using these screw holes where a safety triangle is normally mounted, using a mending plate that I had just hanging around to bend in the shape of the brackets for holding the light. Anyway, if you enjoyed this, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more episodes to come.